your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk Today.
What is on your mind, Cayman? If you are ready to talk, we are ready to listen. Here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Welcome and thank you very much for joining us on another wonderful Wednesday's edition of Talk Today. And as mentioned yesterday, a man who understands that his father, like mine, says, if you're on time, I mean you're late. You honor your commitments and you commit to that which you honor. Well, it's good company of Mr. D. Ezra Miller. We're going to have a good conversation. I'm going to ask him, for his insight and expertise relative to the parliamentary landscape, some of the proposed legislation. If he doesn't mind, we'll ask. And I know he's a man who is most willing to give from his considered perspective. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk Today is reminding you.
Avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
Email Talk Today at candw.ky. Let your voice be heard.
And now, back to Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, Radio Cayman Talk Today.
Hey, welcome and thanks very much for joining us. And as we invite you to be the part of a discussion, 949-8037, 949-6990, or you can WhatsApp call 925-3261. Mr. Ezra Miller, sir, thanks again for coming on. And through you, I'm hoping a number of things would happen. We'll see that as long as we have life and breath, there's always an opportunity to make a positive, meaningful impact in our society. And that doesn't matter if you're 18 or 81, there's still opportunity. So you guide me to make sure I'm not sort of being misled or naive in that approach. But how are you, sir?
I'm fair to middling.
Fair to middling.
Got a little flu bug, but outside of that, I got lots to be thankful for. They'll be 7-2 next week Sunday, so can't complain too much. And I'll try not to lead you astray, but I've been accused of fermenting a lot of things in my political career. Well, I thought people had forgotten about me, but the fact that I came on here last week to promote my little come laugh for a cause for the church, I certainly got a lot of calls about when I was coming back on, and the boys were glad to hear from you, so we'll see.
Well, thank you for sharing that, because that's the other thing. I want us as a people to look at our own, where we may differ in our perspectives, our approach, if our intent is for a better country that is safe and civil, stable, economically, politically, socially, and consciously involved, engaged people. That makes a better society now and 100 years from now.
Yeah, and I've always said, if you want change, and it's not you who, so when I was in my prime, so to speak, I basically decided that I wanted to make a contribution to the development of Cayman and the development of Caymanians. And depending on who you talk to, I believe I made a contribution while I was there. And the learning curve and the personal satisfaction, not gratification, because that's what you do it for the wrong reasons. If you doing it simple for people to come tap you on the shoulder and say, doing a good job, that ain't gonna happen. But occasionally, somebody will come to you and genuinely express thanks and gratitude for some little thing you did for them. And that makes it all worthwhile, you know.
If through you, and I'm hoping to, the second thing is to encourage more of us to recognize the need to step up to the plate, you know, and become engaged in society. Doesn't mean politically, whether you're a candidate or involved in, you know, the parliamentary process, but in society, and not just volunteering with your church or your service club or whichever, but engage, meaningful. And I said to share that if we look at, you know, Friday night, for instance, coming, you know, many people are going to join you in raising funds for the church. You call it what, roasting Ezard?
Yep.
And
Come laugh for a cause.
Come laugh. And other societies seem to have this thing where the people in our society who serve, say, in politics, they don't get discarded. They don't get, you know, so disrespected and dejected that there is no, not just use for them, but people no longer want them. They actually sought out. For some reason, in the Cayman context, kick a dog when it's down, boy, and, you know, why do we do that?
After the last election, when I lost, I met with the Premier and Deputy Premier and said to them, look, I believe I have accumulated some knowledge and some experience over the years. So if there's anything I can do to help my country in terms of being on a board or whatever, then I want you to understand that I'm available. Nobody has called. And the few times that my name comes up, we know that the political forces that exist just don't want no part of any kind of thing that that advice or what I can give them.
Okay.
I heard the governor on here a couple of, might have been a little while ago, talking about, and they were looking, and also on the OC show, they're looking for people to work on the various constitutional commissions, right? I called up the Constitutional Commission office and offered my services, right? Nobody has called. And yet they pretend that there are no people who want to get involved. But you see, they're not looking for people that are willing, able, and likely to make a contribution. They're looking for like minds, right, that they can manipulate. And you know, it's kind of hard to treat this old dog new tricks, right? And they know what they're getting if they get me. I'm going to give them my honest, based on my integrity, what I think is the best thing to do. And obviously that's not what they're looking for. So, you know.
But let me just immediately, those two things come to mind. The first one, you talk about the Constitutional Commission and the like, or the Constitution's provision for commissions. In your view, the people who are appointed, should they be people who are on island, so in country, or can they be people who have a connection to the country, who may be frequent to our shores, who do consultancy? What is your view, and is that different from what?
Well, first of all, I think they should be Caymanian.
Okay.
And I think they should be here.
Okay.
Right? I don't think there's anybody outside of a Caymanian that can have the heartfelt desire to do what's best for Cayman more than a Caymanian. You can't come here from Timbuktu and tell Ezra Miller that you believe and you love Caymanian more than I do. That's not possible. Because I know as a human being I can't migrate to your country, to any other country, and feel the same way about that country as I feel about Cayman.
Okay.
And I don't think these people are indifferent. And I know that's not a fault. I think that's a good thing.
Right.
But we got to get off of this hobby horse of believing that expertise can only come from overseas and completely disregard the local expertise. And one of the things that I think that is happening in the civil service is that we certainly are not culturing that kind of involvement. Nor do I see any attempt to get bright Caymanians. I'm talking about Caymanians that I see graduating from Clifton Hutter High School. I didn't go to John Gray High School, but I've been going to Clifton Hutter High School on a regular basis because my daughter goes there. With 13, 14 O-levels, a distinction level, high honors. Every one of those people should be headhunted by government to train them for specific positions in government. We need Caymanians, police force, immigration, the Attorney General's office, the law courts, etc., etc. Pick some of these bright Caymanians, sit down with them and develop, firstly, an education path to get them the kind of education that they need for that specific job. Then sit down with them and develop a career path over the next 5, 10, 15 years, where if you meet all of these expectations, you can expect to be there. You know, we don't have anybody that we have on a program to be our Chief Justice, to be a Cayman. We're quite happy to make other people Caymanians, and then we say we have Caymanians in it. And that's not the same to me.
Okay.
You know?
And as we go into the break, I know we have a call, but just for in case, you know, I mean, I'm sure we can, but to your knowledge, is it very specifically laid out in our Constitution or in these appointments that these people who are appointed to these positions must be Caymanian, must be here? To your knowledge, do you know?
No, the Constitution is non-specific. The only thing they're specific about is the Deputy Governor. And really and truly, as Caymanians, right, who are in a position to make recommendations to the Governor for these, we shouldn't need that caveat to be in the Constitution. Right? That should be the expectation of every Caymanian, to find another Caymanian, not somebody else.
All right, okay. All right, we're going to pause. We'll come back. We'll take some calls. And well, I always find that with Mr. Ezra's company, I learned something. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
At Doctor's Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctor's Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
You know who this is? That same old girl that went to Hollywood and Panama? Well, guess what? The fun ain't done yet, because this year, I'm going to country concerts in Denver. I got kick up my heels in Times Square. I got keep living the dream with Cayman Airways. We so blessed to have them. I tell you what though, this old girl's feeling younger than ever.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering international non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, Kingston, Mobay, La Ceiba, and Havana. Enjoy free rum punch, free in-flight entertainment, free seat selection, and free meals on select flights. Call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
It's game time, Subway fans. We're upping our sub game with the Subway Series menu, an all-star lineup of 6 delicious recipes. Just order by name or number and we'll do the rest. Whether you're catching a quick lunch or just need a tasty victory, the Subway Series menu is coming in clutch. Subway Series, easy to order, hard to resist. Try it today, only at Subway. Eat fresh.
The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Dwayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drporterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
Our climate is changing, and so is Cayman. Stronger and more frequent hurricanes, longer periods of drought, sea level rise, and higher temperatures are already impacting our communities. If we take nature into account before we act, we can harness nature's benefits and reduce the devastation caused by natural disasters. Because when we put nature front and center, nature can provide the solutions.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thank you for joining us. And to the caller, you're more than welcome to try us back whenever you can, 949-8037 or 949-6990. Or you can WhatsApp call 925-3261 as we're speaking to Mr. Ezra Miller. This notion of, sort of electoral reform, democracy, and the like, many comments often made, sometimes publicly. And maybe we can chat more about it in terms of where we are and where we could be and what it would take to get there. But we do have a caller, Mr. Miller. If I invite you to, I would joke and say, that set should fit. But hey, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, I'm on. Mr. Sterling?
Hey, welcome. How are you?
Okay, I hope everything is well. This is Ed Gibson here at the resident owner stretch. This is a frustrated call. From yesterday noon, I have been making several calls to the Department of Health, solid waste. I even tried going through the government today. Maybe someone is listening to talk today, and I'm asking someone to please get in touch with me because our dumpster is full, and I have Vacation Bible School. I have nowhere to put garbage. So I'm asking them to please, I left several messages for them to please contact me and come and clear the garbage, which they normally do every week, but I haven't had it done in last week. We desperately need it cleared because it is full and overrunning, and I cannot put anything on the ground anymore because the dogs will carry it away. So could someone who's listening, department, please get in touch with me at 917-6677 or just come and clear the dumpster. I would appreciate that. I think this is the only other medium I have to use now. So,
but there are.
Sorry to interrupt your program, but I
no. But when we said there is at least one other independent sort of collection agency. If you want to use that avenue, call them. I'm sure they can come take it away. I don't know the protocol and what's transpiring as to why yours isn't collected, but if you have the safety of the children at stake, those people might be able to come and take away and empty your dumpster.
Yeah, well, like I said, they normally do it, and they haven't come here since the hurricane or before the hurricane. So we need to get it all moved so I can have some space to put garbage.
No, I hear you, sir, and I certainly understand your safety, but sometimes if you call somebody else to come and do something instead of waiting for somebody else, then it'll be done, right? So reach out to them.
I know, but these are their dumpsters and they're normally cleared, so I'm just trying to get some action. Even if they call me, I would say, well, at least somebody responded.
Can I make a recommendation to you?
Mr. Ed?
Yeah, all the other calls are saying that the number I'm trying to call is the person I'm trying to reach.
Can I make a recommendation to you? Get off the phone, go to the DEH office, sit down up on the North Sound Road, and sit down in reception until the director comes out to talk to you and get the thing done.
Yeah, but that means that I can't get other work done here, and I have several things to get done. So.
All right. Well, he gave you one. I give you another one. Call independent people and say, listen, a couple of bucks, take it away, clear it first. But
I appreciate all those recommendations. But anyway, I think somebody will hear me because somebody's listening to it wherever they are for lunch. or vacation or just taking off.
Yeah. All right, sir.
Thank you very much.
You're most welcome, sir.
Yeah.
Thanks. And that speaks to much, but Mr. Miller?
Well, that's how I get things done in the government. I went to Seneca a couple of months ago to help somebody out, and they tell me, well, we can come back later. I sat down. Person looked at me 10 minutes and said, well, Mr. Miller, you can go in. No, I come get the letter. That's all I got to do today. So I'm not leaving this office now until I get the letter. So the sooner you get the letter, the sooner you get rid of my ugly fat face.
Only you, sir. But there's so much perhaps happening in our society. And I wonder, just generally speaking, let's say you go into your government agency and you take in a form. You maybe have to wait your turn. There's a number system, whichever. Maybe an hour or 2 or 3 later, and you say, here's the form. I wonder to what extent, we're just checking boxes. We see it in the banks all the time. They talk about KYC. I'm not quite sure they have a clue, but anyway. And they make it difficult. And it's government agency, and here's the form, and you just get acknowledgement. I wonder to what extent we are going through this process and not understanding the meaning, the reason, the common sense of it.
Why are you filling on the form for?
Yeah.
I can remember when you went to the highest level of civil service, get your form completed, and if there was something wrong with it, Mr. Dennis would look at you, well, Ezra, this is not quite right, but let me fix it for you, my son. You fix it, and you go what you did. Now you go, you're told that, Ezra, you're not a lawyer, and you get a lawyer do this for you, and et cetera, and they're exercising their authority.
Yeah.
Because they have the right, they have that authority now to grant this thing for you or not.
But this is across the board, right? This is...
It's not just it's in the private sector the same way.
Yeah. I think of two things and sort of, not even the same coin, but two different sides, right? One, the gatekeepers. So we hire someone, whether they're in uniform, called security, whichever. They are presumably given some level of authority, or they assume that authority, and they prevent, deny, delay, somehow impede you from getting to where you need to go to do the thing. And nobody questions. And if someone does, well, why is that? There could be a miscommunication, a misunderstanding. But there are times when, there's a real life example just transpiring now. Someone in your instance goes and says, here's the form, ma'am. And the person goes, oh, sorry, you actually needed this form, let me help you. When that person does that, either other customers or chances are other senior officers or staff, whatever that title is, or some external audit regulatory agency, something that says, oh, you can't do that. You're, breaking some law that's possible, interference, whatever. Whereas the person is just being, excellent customer service. They recognize that you signed on the back of the form and now you need to sign in the front, and they took 2 seconds to fill it out. That
but
level of...
my grandma used to tell me, my son, if you don't have time to do it right now, when you can find time to do it again.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, that little effort at the front end saves the person coming back and occupying another 15, 20 minutes of your time or another.
But I found that in this the last example I gave you, where the customer was so appreciative of this employee, recognizing there was a simple error, but the error was so significant that it would have delayed the delivery of the service, right? And the person says, "Oh, hold on, let me just take a couple of seconds, and I can fix this." Only to later, I only learned this today, for that employee to be chastised because you did this thing. And to me, that's good customer service. You would be commending that person for, wow.
If I was the boss of the person who chastised, or the person that chastised, would get a lot more chastisement from me. But I agree with you. That's the run of the mill. The important thing that you say is to tick the box, not whether what we're doing is appropriate or even helpful in getting the job done.
Right. And the reason why I reference that is that I don't know the people. I don't know what it was. I was just given. And the person says, do you realize that in the public sector, that sometimes if something like that happens, there could be this contention that could look like a corrupt practice. Now, they didn't go into the specifics. I go, but the person just facilitated something and moved it along in the system. Why is that? Oh, because you might be showing preference or favor. Now, It could be that way. I just don't know. But you're an experience.
I don't see it that way. I see it that's part of your role, particularly as a public servant, to help people.
Yeah.
And any kind of rules we have that supervisors can use that kind of thing to chastise people because they help somebody. No, listen to me now. If the person was at the back of the line and all of a sudden you call them up to the front of the line and they spent half hour talking to you on the phone, all that kind of, that's a different thing.
Right.
And if the person brings you 3 Domino's pizzas when you before they hand you the phone, right?
Right. Okay.
But we're talking about people genuinely
trying to help something.
That's it.
And only to emphasize that, fair enough, we don't know the circumstance, but I wonder to what extent sometimes out of the fear that this could be how it's perceived or something similar happen, you don't want to be, the bad person. You don't want to get in trouble, and so we don't do anything.
Yeah, you follow the routine.
Yeah. All right. Why I share that is that maybe, and you've shared this, you've been in the political arena for, 1 or 2 months.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Have we moved forward in terms of healthier democracy, efficiency? Has it been more red tape and bureaucracy? I don't know if that's. It's not meant to be.
I don't think we've moved forward as a democracy in terms of the effectiveness of our administration, better long-term planning, etc., etc. I think that one of the things that concerns me, which was quite obvious in the last election, particularly the last election, is that we no longer have elections. We now have auctions.
That's a strong statement, Mr.
Well, and people, I read in the Gleaner when I was in college in Jamaica. I think the man's name was Mr. John Horn that used to write op-eds. And I don't believe that it was his original thought, right? But it has stuck with me from 1971, right?
Wow.
That democracy is great until the people understand they can vote themselves largesse from the treasury.
Wow.
And I think over the last 2 decades in particular, there's a large segment of our population that looks at elections in 2 ways now.
Mm-hmm.
1, how much can I auction my vote for, right? And 2, the politicians making the people believe that they can be dependent on government and that if they elect me as your politician, I will see that you get all these benefits and the largesse will continue to flow. And those are the kind of things that I believe is not good for our democracy. Because there's always going to be people come here from other jurisdictions who have the finances and the wherewithal to provide the money for the auction, right? And we have our local people who are capable of doing it too, you don't misunderstand me, right? But I think it is more obvious when they do it, right? And then they look for people who they know they can corrupt. And most of the people who live in that environment, not really too concerned, that that you could corrupt me. That's okay. Because when I need to corrupt you, then I have a precedent that I can go by. And my need for the corruption is likely to be greater than the one that you did that. So there is no concerted effort to stop the corruption, right? Far too many people in our society will turn a blind eye on the corruption, knowing that if they need to corrupt the person, then they can corrupt the person.
The precedent's there.
And get what they want.
All right. When we come back from the break, I certainly want to ask you more about how to be a part of Roasting Ezra. But
right.
I want to talk about the political, because it's, who best to talk to than somebody who actually knows, right? Phone lines are available. Stay tuned. Join us after.
You know who this is? That same old girl that went to Hollywood and Panama? Well, guess what? The fun ain't done yet, because this year, I'm going to country concerts in Denver. I got kick up my heels in Times Square. I got keep living the dream with Cayman Airways. We so blessed to have them. I tell you what, though, this old girl feeling younger than ever.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering international non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, Kingston, Mobay, La Ceiba, and Havana. Enjoy free rum punch, free in-flight entertainment, free seat selection, and free meals on select flights. Call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Refer a friend and get $50 to spend when your friend or family member opens a personal account with Cayman National. From July 9th to September 30th, 2024, C&B customers can earn $50 for each referral who opens an individual or joint personal account. Earn up to $500 with a maximum of 10 referrals. Visit CaymanNational.com for more details on this promotion and follow us on social media for updates. Terms and conditions apply.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Prescription refills made easy at Savannah Pharmacy. WhatsApp your prescription refills to 929-5045.
This is Sherry Ebanks, and I work in the financial services sector. I am concerned about how climate change is affecting our beautiful beaches. Sea level rise and changing wind patterns are worsening the erosion of our beaches, and warmer temperatures are causing more sargassum to reach our shores. When our beaches are degraded, our tourism sector and the livelihoods of Caymanians are put in jeopardy. To learn more about the climate risks to our islands, visit www.gov.ky/climate change policy.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back and thanks for joining us. We're in the excellent company of Mr. D. Ezra. Many people ask, well, who that D stands for? That's like the D in the Mario ranking. D, get it done? What's the D for, Mr. Ezra?
D is for Dennison, but I used the D because my son, me and him have the same name. Yeah. And he goes by Dennison and I go by Ezra. So
there you go.
I had all kind of trouble with the bank trying to convert all of my stuff to D. Ezra Miller.
Yeah. I mean, but you had C. Everett Koop, right? And then, C. Thomas Howell. I mean, why not D? I want to share that to
I'm not pretending to be no doctor.
No doctor?
R isn't missing.
I would always want to make a joke, but I leave that alone because somebody listening and say, he's trying to be funny. But in that vein, right, in the Cayman context, all just about I've heard share our problems should be solvable. They should be identifiable because we're so small. Relatively speaking, 100,000 people, it's a small number. The square footage of the entire country in terms of square miles is small, but yet it doesn't seem to be a problem.
But problem solving is a science unto itself,
Mm-hmm.
And one of my favorite subjects in postgraduate school was problem solving. And it is easy under the current system to say, well, it was my job, but I sent it to him for him to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I have a responsibility to make sure he did it. But my argument is that you do, right?
Yeah.
And it is easy to look at, well, what you're talking about. But as well, I sent 3 emails about this thing. Yeah, well, where's the response to the emails? Do you know whether the people open the emails? And I mean, we can actually target and know that it was open or not open, you know, right? And it's just, you're just going around in circles, you know.
Right.
You're spinning wheels. My favorite saying was wings flapping and no birds flying. I want bird fly.
Yeah.
If I can get that done with 1 wing flap, that's it. The bird's flying. You know, if it takes 100 wing flaps, well, I'm going to be around until it should get past the 99.
Help me to, and I'm mindful because I don't, unless I intend to, I don't wish to be disrespectful. But I have no qualms about telling people to get off, right? But I want to make sure I do it from a perspective that, not that I feel justified, but that I am actually, legit in this thing, right? Hopefully you can say it in a way that doesn't require the use of anger or expletives, but sometimes that's necessary too, as they say. But in the case, if Mr. Ed Gibson wouldn't mind using him as an example, and then magnifying it from society's perspective, and with great emphasis on the voter, is it your perception that the Cayman Islands and its people have got to a space where in the past we did for ourselves? We didn't wait for government, we didn't wait for daddy, we didn't wait for anybody. We accepted, we asked for help, we accepted help, but we tried to do for ourselves. Now we seemed not to. Is that your perspective?
Yeah, and I think, again, get back to this large G's from the Treasury. A lot of that is being promoted by certain politicians.
Okay.
Now, when I was a politician and you came to my office with a problem, I did my best to solve the problem in front of you. I didn't defer it, come back next week. If I thought that you needed to, I need to refer you to a government agency, I picked up the phone, I called the agency and I put them on speakerphone so that you could hear what I was telling them. But not only that, you could hear what they was telling me so that I couldn't twist it, right?
Right.
Because without honesty and integrity and those kind of things, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the politicians, they go, okay, I'll make a phone call tomorrow, right? And whether they make the phone call or not, who knows, right? But the general voting public has determined, and some of it is promoted by certain political forces, that the more I ask for, the more I will get.
Yeah.
Right? And over the last decade, or maybe even longer, the solution to many of our social problems in Cayman, because we had resources, because we had money, we simply throw money at it.
We buy aware of a problem.
Right. We increase the monthly allowance, etc., etc. Instead of looking at the problem, first of all, we need to identify what the problem is, right? Because you can't solve a problem if you don't know what the problem is, right?
Yeah.
So the key to any problem solving is to identify clearly what is the problem.
Even acknowledging the problem is a good first step.
Right. Once you find out what the problem is, then you can develop a number of scenarios to solve the problem. Then you look at what each one, then you should, in developing those solutions to the problem, they must always carry the cost component. Then you make an evaluation. Well, what resources do I have to put to each of these solutions? And you pick the solutions that you have the resources to complete the solution. Then it has to be an evaluation process after that. That's not the end of the issue. The issue is that you have to come back then, whether it's hours, weeks, depending on what it is, months, years later, and look at the effectiveness of the solution you placed on the problem and find out whether it was effective or not. And did it solve the problem? Because circumstances can change.
Right.
You know?
And the problem might present itself again.
But we simply believe that instead of having a proper pension scheme that provides a livable pension for every Caymanian, we just give them allowances to the NAU, right? And when I took the pension legislation to the LA in 92, we understood that there was going to be a 10 or 15-year period where people will not have been able to contribute long enough before they reach retirement age to get a livable pension. But again, the starting point on that pension must be, what does the person need to live by, to live a decent life right now. Your starting point can't be what you're going to pay in with the hope what you're going to get. The starting point must be, what do I want as a benefit when I retire?
Mm-hmm.
What is necessary for me? You can't be making $5,000 a month, and then when you retire, the Chamber of Commerce can give you $1,000 a month. You can't you can't adjust your lifestyle that standard. The standard in the industry is, if you retire with 2/3 of the salary you were making, you can make the necessary adjustments because you don't have a transportation costs, etc., all the other stuff that go with actually going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But going to work costs something, right? The standard belief is that you can live with 2/3 of that income, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that should be what the aim is for all pension plans in Cayman. Right?
But is that making an assumption that your inflation rate is within a certain band?
Well, yeah, it makes a lot of assumptions, but that's what we got actual calculations for.
Right.
It also makes the assumption that some people are going to retire at 60, right, and die at 61. Other people are going to retire at 60 and die at 91. So the person who died at 61, what's left in the plan helps pay for the person who lives at 91, you know, because you can have a social conscience. It can't be. Let me give you a good example, and I usually only talk what I know, right? The first 12 years I spent in Parliament I was under defined benefits contribution, okay? The last 8 years, I was under the defined contribution. The first 12 years, right, I get $3,600 a month pension, right? The 8 years that I spent on defined contribution, I get $500 a month, right? And that my monthly payments on the defined contribution were far greater than my monthly payments on the defined benefits, because there is no there's no social conscience of anybody, right? Same thing with health insurance.
Mm-hmm.
We must have a national health insurance in this country where everybody gets the benefits it needs to get treated for care. And the young people have to pay a little more than the 72-year-old, or the same amount as the 72-year-old, not what he would pay based on what his claims are likely to be.
Right.
Because that person will get 72 one time too.
Can we talk about the national sort of pensions, national health insurance? That last topic, because some people will see that and applaud you, and
but we don't have neither.
Right.
We don't have a national health insurance,
right,
nor a national pension plan.
Mm-hmm.
What we have is legislation that we call national, which promotes private sector health insurance and private sector pension. And none of them gives the Caymanian the kind of benefit that they would need after working 40 years.
Right. Let's talk about that, because that is something that, anyway, let's chat about it.
Mm-hmm.
See what you have to offer. Join us after the break.
We are Radio Cayman,
covering Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, and Grand Cayman.
1 in a million. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
I'm Jevi Ebanks with your latest headlines. The trial of the Honorable Makiva Bush, father of the House, continues as he faces a rape charge, which he denies. The court is hearing from a witness identified by the accuser as a person she told about the incident. The prosecution's case is expected to conclude today following the final 2 witness testimonies, with the defense soon to present their side. It remains unclear whether Mr. Bush will testify in his own defense. In regional news, in Belize, 26-year-old Brian Lee Perriort received an $8,000 bail after retracting his guilty plea for circulating intimate photos of an ex-partner on Facebook. The Belize City Magistrate Court imposed strict bail conditions, including social media use restrictions and a mandate to stay away from the woman involved. The defense's new evidence led to the plea change despite the prosecution's argument of Perut being a flight risk. In Dominica, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit downplays the absence of a qualified leader of the opposition following Jesma Paul Victor's resignation. The president's office stated that unelected senators have no say in the appointment. Skerrit notes that while the situation is not ideal, it does not constitute a crisis, citing similar scenarios in Barbados and Grenada. That's your top headlines. I'm Jeffy Ebanks.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
The Health Services Authority has over 120 world-class physicians offering the most comprehensive range of specialist services on island. Our dedicated team of professionals provide the highest quality care in orthopedics, interventional radiology, women's health, geriatrics, and a host of other specialist areas. We are a JCI accredited organization with a proven record of excellence. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you. For more information, visit hsa.ky.
At Kirk Market, it's so easy to eat well and find healthy options. With their fresh veggies from local farmers, hormone-free chicken, local seafood, and grass-fed meats, Kirk Market has delicious, quality food at the best prices. And you must check out their fresh salad bar, hot bar, and med bar for daily healthy options on the go. Their delicious dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients such as prime meats and organic veggies. Eating great is important to me. That's why Kirk Market is my store. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and shop happy.
On November the 23rd, 1935, under the direction of Commissioner Allen Woosley Cardinal, Grand Cayman saw the installation of the first telegraph station, followed by Cayman Brac in 1936, through a joint venture with the Cuban government. The building was funded and constructed by the Cubans, and equipment paid for by subscribers and Cable and Wireless Limited. During the opening ceremony, a telegraph message was received from Governor of Jamaica, Sir Edward Denham, and the islands sent their first telegraph to King George V.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us, and thanks to Mr. Ezra. We talk about civics, and the need for it to be taught in schools. But I wonder to what extent we as adults, and not just adults of voting age who are registered to vote, but adults who may be parents, adults who are very competent in their respective areas of employment or industry or what have you. Do we feel comfortable with respect to civics? And do we, as I think you're giving us a lesson now, understand that when we negotiate our next employment contract, that pension and health deduction or contribution, what does that mean? How does that affected?
And part of what the employees need to negotiate for is that they remain in the health insurance plan, whatever that is. Right? They pay even if they have to pay 100% the premium, but they remain into that plan so they get the benefit of the group insurance,
right,
and not get thrown off, right, and then they can't get insurance somewhere else.
So there's pensions, there's health. Let's talk about health insurance. I'm of the view from people that after they leave their employer, well, first off, let me back up, make sure I understand it. A person's health insurance is dependent, unless they're self-employed, or is dependent on their employer group plan. And if there are any dependents of that person, spouse, children, or what have you, that person's health insurance is now dependent on this primary sort of employee who has the health insurance through the employer. Is that their understanding?
Yeah, and there are many people who can't progress professionally because they can't leave the current employer because of the health insurance position.
Right. And then, okay.
But two things that the employer needs to, the employee because most times the employer not offer it, and certainly it is not in the financial interest of the health insurance company to offer it. But part of anybody negotiating a contract now, one of the things that I would recommend that they, and even if they're not, I think right now they need to get together and bargain collectively that I will remain in tow the pension plan once I retire. Because but you see what's happening is, and there's always an out, right? We have people, families, one person is working in the private sector, and the company is paying their health insurance from. So they have choice. They can go anywhere they want, right? So they stay in that. The other partner is working with government, right? And they stay in that, right? They keep the two separate, right? They'll put their dependence on
whichever plan's best for the family. Okay.
At the time, right?
Okay.
But then when they retire now, right, they go and join Cynical or whatever plan the government partner is in, you see?
Right.
So that is the security blanket. But again, the private sector is getting off the hook, being let off the hook.
At the time when you would need
because there's nothing in the, you see, the reason why I did in 1992 health insurance and pension at the same time, and lots of the political advice was it's too much one time. My argument was the two have to go together, because it was always my intention that your health insurance would become a part of a retirement benefit. Right? And that's very, very important. There's probably one or two companies in the private sector that actually allows an employee retiring to stay in them, but they got to pay the premium.
Right.
But you see, again, one of the things that I think we allow the health insurance industry to get away with is that they're not really offering group health. They're offering health insurance coverage discounted by numbers. It's a whole entirely different thing, right?
Yeah.
You know, and often within that they have age bands, which negates the whole thing of a kind of national health insurance.
Right.
Even the government, on the Cynical, up until the last finance committee that I was in, are still getting quotations from Cynical based on age bands, which is utter madness.
As opposed to entire.
As opposed to because in any organization, they're less, because if you look at the disease indices in Cayman, right? When you pass the childhood diseases, and because of our inoculations were so good, you didn't get the childhood diseases unless you got in some kind of accident, you got a broken leg or a broken arm or something. So you don't have them coming in to the claims other than for cold or something like that, right? Until they get 55, 65, like that, right? When they actually start to get the claims, right? But all of this time now, they've been paying a premium, you know. So the premium they've been paying all along should have been, so that when they get to 65, there's no increase in the premium. You see? So you spread the risk. That's the whole idea of national health insurance.
All right. We do have a caller online. We're speaking to Mr. Ezra Miller. Hey, welcome. Thank you for calling. Yes, hello?
Good afternoon, Dwayne.
Hey.
Good afternoon.
How was your day?
Okay, and you?
It's a great day, man. You know, people call you out of the blue just to check, make sure you're sober and coherent. That's a good day. That's good. It's a good day, my friend.
Okay, and Mr. Miller, you all right?
Yeah, man, I'm super califragilisticexpialidocious.
Singing, he say he's not his strength.
No, I'm not singing, I'm talking. My heart told me I didn't have a singing voice a long time ago.
Okay. I'd like to congratulate you once again, even though it's been a while now for getting rid of them iguanas.
Okay. But they need to increase it now because they're coming back fast, look like.
And I got too much down West Bay.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Speaking about health insurance, I was told by a few gentlemen working at a construction site in Northwest Point that their employer has them paying all of their health insurance. The employer is not contributing half like they're supposed to. And these contractors, they make enough money that they're able to pay half of the health insurance for their employees. I was told by these gentlemen that there are about 170 of them on the job site. And they're all paying for all of their health insurance. Their employer is not paying not even a 1 cent. And if you add it up, 170 of them, it's probably about $400,000 a year that it adds up to, which means the employer is keeping this money for themselves. And I know for a fact that this is occurring because it happened to me before. When I was building watercolors condominiums. I wasn't working there. I was building the building for them. And they asked me to pay all my health insurance, the construction company I was working with, and I told them I could not afford it. They said I was going to mess it up for everybody else if I didn't pay for all my health insurance like everybody else was. I told them, okay, go ahead. I saved all my receipts with all the deductions that they took from me. And after I was finished building watercolors, I went straight to the government building with all my receipts. And I got back all the money they took from me. And this is one of the reasons why these construction companies don't really care about hiring Caymanians. This is one of the main reasons. Right? And they come around here celebrating independence, talking about slavery is finished. They don't want nothing more to do with slavery, but yet they bring their own people here in the Cayman Islands and they slave their own people and steal their money. And I know for sure this is happening throughout the whole island. Okay? This health insurance business. This is what is happening throughout the whole island. And I hope the government is not going to continue to allow this to happen. And this is another reason why I believe that we don't have trade schools in every district like we're supposed to have by now, with the billions of dollars worth of concessions that have been given away. Our young men and young women could have been riding bicycles to the trade schools now, going home for lunch, going back to the schools until they graduate and get their certificates, that they're able to go on these job sites. Because part of the concession deal is that 60% of the workforce building these buildings are supposed to be Caymanians.
Thanks very much, Ron. And as we're speaking to Mr. Ezra Miller, the caller references the investment in our people and their skill sets, whether they're carpenters or future surgeons or but that's part of what, as you were saying earlier, developing your country. And it's
basically one of the ways that the construction industry or the contractors get around the idea of pension health insurance is they sublet to subcontractors. So these people are not really employers.
They're independent contractors.
Right, they're independent contractors. So that's how they're making them pay their whole, legally.
Yeah.
Making them pay their whole insurance and their whole pension.
So then back to some of the things that you were sharing. Without drawing inferences, I want to make sure I understand it as clearly and explicitly as possible. If we have this system where, let's say in the government, you have public sector employees insured through Synaco, which is government company and the like. But if you're sharing that the quotes for premiums are based on age as opposed to a pool of people, you have 500 employees or 5,000 or 50,000, your rate should be better because of economies of scale. But
you see, because the point I was trying to make was the majority of civil servants are healthy. The majority of civil servants on an annual basis have very few claims on their insurance. It is when you get up to the diseases of age, so to speak, right, that for want of a better term, that you need insurance, right? And the whole idea is that if the government is getting a quote on health insurance from Cynic or anybody else, it should be based on the total population that they have.
Right.
Indices of disease, the age of the person, the health of the person, and the actuaries calculate a premium that splits, right? And everybody shares the same benefits, everybody shares the same cost.
So if I understood you correctly, in this case, Cynical's quote is based on age, does that mean then that civil servant who is...
the civil servant doesn't know because the government is paying 100% the premium.
Right.
But the government is paying to Cynical less for the bottom band than they're paying for the top band.
As opposed to that average or medium in sum that covers everybody.
Right.
So if on whether it's being paid 100% by the employer, whether that's government or private sector, or it's shared in whatever percentage, on the pay slip, for want of a better term, you'll get salary, less deduction for these things, and that deduction for health insurance, the 30-year-old healthy employee with a family and dependents, and the 55-year-old employee with a family and dependents, those two sums for deduction for health
are different.
Will be different. Huh. I didn't realize. I thought it was...
Well, and that's the way it was explained to me in the Finance Committee, and I argued strongly against it, that's not the principle of
a group policy
insurance. Right. But
well,
I don't think they changed it.
Okay. Well, I have come to understand... sorry, go ahead, sir.
Now, I think one of the things that the government was trying to say, look at it from a strictly financial position, that because the number of people in the 55 to 60 age group were less, right, than the number of, say, people between 18 and 30, or whatever the age band, I think it's 20, 25, 10-year band or something, 20.
Right.
Therefore, right, they were paying less, right, because the sum total of what they were paying for the younger ones, right, was more than the sum total they were paying for the older ones because they were less older than some. But we see
that don't make sense, sir.
No, but what happens? Yeah. What happens if you have a claim? You get it does happen. You get somebody who has juvenile diabetes, for instance.
Yeah.
You see.
But by extension, I gather in the private sector, insurance company E has a policy. It's called the Y policy, and they have 4 different companies that they offer that for. I gather that company 1, with this particular population of employees with this demographic, may pay a premium of X, but company 2, their premium would be X plus 2. Right, the same policy, and we say, well, that's okay. But if we do that in the private sector, we do it in the public sector, then we don't have group health insurance.
I don't think I speak subject to correction.
Right.
But the last time I did an analysis on it, there's no health insurance company in the island, private or government, that's offering true group health insurance.
Okay.
What they're offering is a premium discounted according to the number of people that buying it.
So each policy, even though offered by that same company, is going to be tailored and assessed based on that company's profile of employees.
And the only way that you can equate it and make sure that everybody makes their due contribution and everybody gets the benefits that they need is to have a national plan that sets the premium and sets the benefits.
Okay. I think I have an understanding of what a national plan is to be, but would it be okay you share your perspective?
What it would mean is that everybody's paying into the same plan.
Okay, so every employee, no matter who you work for, self-employed or not, you pay to one plan. Okay.
I mean, even within the government, in the government agencies, we have this issue where certain authorities have insisted up to this point that they must have a choice, and their board allows them to go out and get private insurance as opposed to going through Cynical, right? But now that they're getting up in age, right, and they realize that even the company that they have been graciously giving all this money to for the last couple of years, right, is not prepared to give them the benefit of covering them after retirement.
Okay.
You see?
You said something earlier. I wrote down the word age, and then you said, so I want to ask two things when it comes to age. Is there now a retirement age in this country, a legal retirement age?
Yeah, I think the civil service legal retirement age is 65. They moved from 60 to 65. Right. There is no legal retirement age in the labor law that affects the private sector.
You sure? Even with the recent amendment?
I don't know what recent amendment, because since I lost election, I have shut off.
No, prior to that. It was prior to that. Yeah.
What everybody was operating on was the statement
pension.
in the pension law that beyond age 60, you don't need to make a pension contribution.
Right.
It's voluntary. You can't force them to pay for it, you see?
Okay.
So then they were saying that that's a retirement age.
Right.
But there is no, I think there should be a retirement age to which Caymanians can look forward to as an option. I never agreed, and I spoke out strongly about a forced retirement age, even in the civil service.
Okay.
I think what we need is a minimum age at which people can retire if they choose to retire.
Right.
Or they have to be retired for medical reasons, then the premium can be calculated based on that, what you would have gotten at that age.
I'm not going to muddy the waters. I know there was some amendments. I'm going to get a specific answer again. Right? We've asked this many times, and I'll get it again. Just make sure. Is there a retirement age? Now, you are correct in that there was an age after which you do not, for the pensions legislation.
And there's nothing in the labor law that I am aware.
But we understand
which is the law that governs employment.
Right, and I know I had a recent email, so I'll go back, I think, and find during the next break. But just to make sure nothing's changed.
And I have known of instances where the private sector selectively enforce they claim that they're enforcing the retirement age, but there's none.
Right, and we also so that being said, I wonder then if you could help us to clarify when it comes to health insurance. The health insurance is dependent on your employer, if that's where your health insurance is through. When you're no longer employed, many people find themselves at that particular time without health insurance after some agreed period. It could be a few months.
But I think the law, I don't, and they want to change it, but the law used to specify that if you're leaving my employment, I have a legal obligation to make sure you're covered for 3 months.
Right.
The first month, I think whatever arrangement was, whether you're paying all or half, and then the other 2 months, it's all for you.
Right.
You pay but you have insurance until you get another job. But I don't know how the government is enforcing that. If it's being enforced, I don't know.
But seemingly, that beyond that time, if that person now has...
If you don't get a job in 4 months, you're on your own.
Quote unquote retired, you're 65, 70, you're no longer with that employer, you're without health insurance. That seems to be the practice at a point when you probably need it the most.
And you see, my argument is that the law should specify that as long as I pay my premium, if I was in that group and I continue to pay my premium, I remain a part of the group.
Yeah, right.
But they have ways of,
So the national insurance suggestion would
eliminate all of that.
Yeah, you have health insurance from day one until you're no longer in the land of the living, as it were.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. How do we achieve that? Because some would say, well, that's socialism. Those are bad things.
Well, I mean, a rose by any rose is just as sweet. The question we need to determine is, do we believe that the government has any obligation to provide healthcare coverage for its citizens?
Right.
Or at least make it accessible to its citizens. And there are a number of ways you can do that. The number of ways we can say, well, we'll just vote money from the Treasury, as we used to do many, many years ago before I introduced health insurance, right? We just pay. We'll set up a hospital. We'll pay the cost of running that hospital, right? And everybody go for free. And that's the government commitment. Whatever it costs, we do that annually. Or you can say, listen, this is really too big for the Treasury for that, because, we now get into secondary and tertiary care and overseas coverage and all this sorts of stuff. Is what mechanism can the government put in place for its citizens that will allow them to have access to health care? And the obvious answer is a national health insurance plan.
Right. What would it take to achieve that?
Legislation.
Political will.
Well, absolutely.
Okay.
Because you know, I as though people say, I suffered gravely under it.
Yeah.
They spent a lot of money to get me out of government in 1992 because I brought in pension legislation and health insurance legislation, and they convinced the government that took over from us to repeal both pieces of legislation. If you look at the health insurance law that was there, right, that was repealed, and you look at what was put back, you can see the clauses that the health insurance industry got changed to their advantage. And every change made to it since has been to their advantage. I mean, how else do you get into episode of illness? What's it now, $2,500 or some ridiculous thing like that, right?
Yeah.
Annual of 100,000 and lifetime of 1 million, right? The only thing that should be in that, right, is the million, and that should be determined actuarially. And that 1 million might have been okay 25 years ago, but it's not okay today. But you know, the way that the private health insurance is structured the last time I looked into it is, if you go to hospital now, right, and you're sick, they call that an episode of illness. Your benefits is capped under that, and the government seems to be very content to allow the private sector to cap it, right? And then we have all these. In the last finance committee I was in, I think we had like 5 or 6 different funds in the budget that we make up that difference, you know, while the private sector insurance is laughing all the way to the bank with their profits, right? And do nothing about it,
right?
You know.
And as you just shared, that lifetime benefit, let's say it's 1 million, whatever that is.
The health insurance that I put there, right? And you know, I'm almost up to Biden age now, you know. So, anything above a certain amount, I think it was at that time. I think it was anything over $500,000. We bought that. The National Health Insurance Plan would buy that coverage and some protection from Aflac or Lloyd's of London or some other international agency, just to have that protection, right?
Right. All right.
So that we didn't have to have the premium so high that we could save money for that day, you know. And this is just how the business is run.
But it's also, you know, we're talking about sustainability and you know, all those things. All right, we got a scheduled break. We will talk about other stuff. Hey, thanks for the education, sir. And also immediately as you come back, are the tickets available?
Yep. Well, I got a couple left. Not too many left.
You want to know for what? Join us after the break.
Summer's heating up, and so are the good times. Whether you are out on the water, enjoying the beach, or gathering with colleagues for an office bash, make it a feast to remember with Subway. From assorted sandwich platters to mouth-watering cookies, our catering menu has something for everyone. Perfect for groups of 5 or more. For food that's fresh, fast, and perfect for any occasion, choose Subway Catering. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
You know who this is? That same old girl that went to Hollywood and Panama? Well, guess what? The fun ain't done yet, because this year, I'm going to country concerts in Denver. I got kick up my heels in Times Square. I got keep living the dream with Cayman Airways. We so blessed to have them. I tell you what though, this old girl feeling younger than ever.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering international non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, Kingston, Mobay, La Ceiba, and Havana. Enjoy free rum punch, free in-flight entertainment, free seat selection, and free meals on select flights. Call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Did you know that there are over 300 public rights-of-ways to the shoreline across the 3 Cayman Islands? Now you can find them easily with the new Shoreline iMap at gov.ky/shoreline. Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us, and thanks to Mr. Ezra Miller for sharing with us. It's something I shared at the outset. It's unfortunate when a society doesn't look to its own and ask them for their experience, their expertise, what have they sort of garnered from their life's work. And it might not be anything of value, but boy, there may be some great nuggets. Mm-hmm. Thankfully, in your case, it's all of good value. So thanks for sharing and giving us your personal perspective. With that in mind, though, as we get, sort of continue this lesson on civics and the idea of possible legislation needed or amended, you call it roasting Ezra Friday night. I'm not going to make fun of you, but I'm sure that a lot of people would be happy to come and get a laugh at your expense. And you would do it for the church, so it's a good cause.
That's the whole idea. I hope to make this an annual, if not a biannual, but at least an annual. Come laugh for a cause. Mm-hmm. The next one obviously will not be roasting Ezra. It'll be some other form of entertainment.
It's normal.
Somebody else. Anybody can volunteer, right? But the whole idea is that my church needs to replace its annual garden party with a fundraising function that allows us to deliver the programs that we're trying to deliver as a church.
Okay.
And this is not for no building program or anything like that. We got all the buildings we need right now. But it costs money to operate a church. And the whole idea is to try and replace, because we tried bringing back the garden party, but it's just not the same. When we did the garden parties in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, even the 90s, people look forward to it. That generations of people thought the garden party was a big thing, right? Mm-hmm. And everybody came out and supported it, etc., etc. Now people come and buy a meal and walk off because it was a big social event on the calendar as well.
Right.
I can remember the days when we had the garden party during the day, and we had our games and going on the merry-go-round and all this kind of stuff, and making ice cream with old hand-turn ice cream. With my mother, she used to make all the ice cream, and I used to have to turn the thing. And then we went into a concert at night, and sometimes we had a dance after the concert, right?
At church?
Of course.
Mr. Miller.
We don't have it in the church. This was held at the Civic Center, you see? Okay. But I mean, we Presbyterians, we
fun people.
Go to church every Sunday and ask the Lord to forgive us for the sins we committed that week.
I thought it was for the sins you were about to commit.
Well, sometimes they're good at it, but it's hard to get forgiveness for what you haven't done yet.
But
anyway, the whole idea is that we need to have a annual fundraiser that tries and replace that. And I believe that this come laugh for a cause, I can develop that with some help from some friends into something that we can either have biannually or annually and make it into something. This in this event, what we're going to laugh about is people roasting me. And, I got thick skin. You don't spend 40 years in politics and you don't get a thick skin. Mine is almost like an alligator now.
I thought you say you was almost like Sir Alden's, but
Yeah.
Oh, you're rough. Okay, so if someone wants a ticket,
We call me 327-5757. I still have some because some people are beginning to give notice that they're not coming, but they're giving a donation, so that's fine.
Yeah.
But I need to know by tomorrow. I have to give the yacht club a number.
So it's the Georgetown Yacht Club,
right? At 7:00 on Friday night.
Okay.
And the idea is that we'll have a meal first, and we're not like the other buffets around town that you can only go once. You can go back often as you want, and the meal, the buffet that they've laid out to me is some just buffets, a lot of stuff on it, and some Caribbean foods and stuff like that. My good friend, Mr. Howard Pandui, has done a good job helping me negotiate the room and the meals and all that sort of stuff. So, so it's going to be a sumptuous meal, and then after the meal is done, then maybe probably when we're having desserts, we'll start the roasting, you know, and hopefully it's going to be entertaining, and I'll get the opportunity to respond. I'm not going to carry any paper or any notes, because then I'm going to write down anything in a specific anybody said, because I'd be tempted to reply. But my role is just to give thanks to all the people who bought the tickets, came out and supported it, the restaurant for putting it on, etc., etc. So, and then we go home.
And you did.
Hopefully, if I can sell 100 tickets, the church should get 4,000 plus.
Yeah.
So it's going to cost in the range of $50-$55, depending on how many people go, because they got to split, per person, and then the balance goes to the church.
Okay. Well, it's always good to come together, good fellowship.
Yeah, and I mean, most of the people that are coming are my friends and people that I know. But the other idea why I moved it out on the north side was because we needed to tap in to sources of funds outside of the little community that we live in, because when we have a fundraiser at the church, the members give the food, and the members are come back and buy the food too. So it's a double, Yeah. Sometimes they even say, well, it's better for me just give the money to start. We didn't know how to problem cooking the food, but then you lose the socializing of it, So hopefully it'll turn out okay, and people will start to look forward to the one that's being held next year or December if I decide to do it biannually.
Well, you know what? You put something out there, people see it, they can build on it, similar things, will work. I want to ask you, I know last time you referenced some of the menu items, so I want to ask you for that unless you wish. But someone's thinking, man, it's one of Wednesday, and they save the appetite up for Friday.
Oh, well, don't eat no lunch, don't eat no lunch. Come hungry. Because it's a lot of food. And a lot of good. I don't have the one of the things and where I met with the MC this morning, I gave him my little cheat sheet with all the names and stuff on it. But
all right, it'll be fun, and I understand from what you shared. You don't have to tell us who the MC is, but from what you shared, just the MC alone will be entertaining. It's not me, by the way. Okay.
Yeah. No.
Somebody who actually knows what he's doing.
Now that I have the person's commitment, right. I'm sure he wouldn't mind me.
Okay.
But I've actually convinced Mr. Austin Harris to come out and be the MC, and the ones that I have conformed as people to roast is still should still be entertaining.
Yeah. Well, if Mr. Austin Harris, not just as a former talk show host and parliamentarian, but if anybody's been where he has emceed an event, he does a great job. He puts a lot of effort and energy into it, and he, I think he's found a calling.
Yeah.
He's jovial. He has a very, very good way of getting things going. So
I mean, my good friend Arden is one of the roasters, so he's going to be brutal. So let's put it that way. But anyway,
you sure you up for this, sir?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know if I told the story. I was here last time, but when we were having a family discussion, because it's necessary for me to get the approval of the 3 women that I live with, right? For anything like this, right? Which is my wife and 2 daughters. Because they organize and run my life now. My mother trained me well, you see. But I had no idea that my 9-year-old daughter knew what a roasting was.
Yeah.
She listened very intently to what I was talking about. And then she said, well, Daddy, you realize that these people are going to be saying bad things about you, right? I say, yeah, but it should be in a humorous way. And but I said, one thing the daddy can assure you, they can't say nothing unethical or illegal about me. So you can just enjoy it. All it is entertainment, and you can enjoy it yourself. But I challenge you to watch her face, because she'll be there with me, and you'll know what she approves of, what she doesn't approve of, just by the looks on her face.
But it's.
I thought very strongly about asking her. She wanted to roast me one time, but I said no,
not yet.
Like that, no.
Wait till she, just wait.
But she's listen, don't cross her. She's a Miller through and through.
Oh, Dr. Jennifer Allen, boy.
Yeah.
No, and with that, I'm hoping that as you share that with us.
Well, my nieces are combining their roles, so I don't know what I don't know what to expect there. But I have a good relationship with most of them.
You know what? That tells you that when you earn the respect of your contemporaries and your family, just generally speaking, any difference of opinion, it's just that. It's nothing to do with disrespect. They feel so close and confident that they can share a different view and not risk that relationship or being assumed or accused of being disrespectful. So it ought to be a good, not just a good meal, but a good evening for a good cause. 7 o'clock this coming...
7 o'clock Friday, the 12th of July.
Yeah.
At the Georgetown Yacht Club, which is the Scott place. Most people know it as the Scott's Yacht Club up in...
Near the airport.
Right,
Mr. Scott and the family, they've done a great job. Again, an opportunity to support not just a local business, but to appreciate what I think is a fantastic venue. And as you...
Yeah, and I think it should be entertaining.
All right. Well, looking forward to hearing what people will say about it after, but what it's saying about it during, right?
Well, I know that one member of the media actually bought a ticket to come, so we'll see what they report.
We'll see.
And you will be there, so you can.
Well,
and one of your shows next week, you can tell whether it was good, bad, or indifferent.
And this is where I think, as I listen to you doing that, it may cause us as a society to appreciate the importance of offering ourselves up in different ways to be of continued value to our society. That 8-year-old now, the 80-year-old, likewise.
Yeah. And one of the things that we need to recognize as Caymanians, right, is we don't have to be in leadership positions to contribute. The hardest thing for a leader to do is to have nobody to lead, right? No followers.
Yeah.
But we need to understand that there are little ways, and often it's the little ways that we can contribute. The encouragement we may give to somebody, or whatever, that is effective.
I thought you were going to say the hardest thing I would do with a John Conley song was holding her.
Yeah.
All right, we got a break to take, but I want to talk more politics when we come back.
All right, you haven't gotten to the hot subject yet, which is the National Conservation Law. So
could we talk about that?
Oh, absolutely. Not that I know what they're doing, but at least I can make you know what I believe and what I don't believe.
All right, so let's talk about that. We'll leave pensions and health and anything else that you want to. But we talk about the National Conservation legislation. All right, join us after the break.
It's game time, Subway fans. We're upping our sub game with the Subway Series menu, an all-star lineup of 6 delicious recipes. Just order by name or number and we'll do the rest. Whether you're catching a quick lunch or just need a tasty victory, the Subway Series menu is coming in clutch. Subway Series, easy to order, hard to resist. Try it today, only at Subway. Eat fresh.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Find your dream car with a Cayman National Vehicle Loan. Enjoy 100% financing, up to 8-year repayment, and a 7% fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. For eco-friendly cars, we'll waive your commitment fee. This only applies to new vehicles. Call Call 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
There you go, sir. Thanks for choosing JN Money Transfer.
Boy, thanks to JN Money Transfer, I can stay right here in Cayman and pay mama bills back home in Jamaica. Her water, light, phone and other bills never late. Every month I pay everything in one place.
Make payments to over 30 companies in Jamaica through JN Money Transfer. Fast, affordable, convenient. Call 1-800-744-1163 for details.
July is Laundry Month at Brand Source Home Gallery. Get ready to save big with 15% off on all washers and dryers, both domestic and commercial, and 30% off on selected laundry items.
Is your washer or dryer on its last spin? Now's the time to upgrade. From GE, LG, Samsung, Beko, Electrolux to Frigidaire, save up to 30% on laundry appliances during the month of July.
Visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive in Industrial Park or call 623-5000.
Check out brandsourcecayman.com for more deals. Voted Best Appliance Store of 2023.
The Ministry of Education and the Passport and Corporate Services Office remind all students traveling to and from school overseas to ensure their passports are valid for both travel and entry into their destination country. Passports should be renewed at least 10 weeks before departure, and any necessary student visas must be obtained. For passport services, contact the Passport and Corporate Services Office at 649-7678. For Ministry of Education scholarship inquiries, contact scholarships@gov.ky. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Education and the Passport and Corporate Services Office.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back, and thanks for joining us, and thanks to Mr. Ezra Miller. And I want you to, share with us about the national conservation. But again, commend you for, put yourself out there for Friday night, raising funds for your church, and having people laugh a little bit. Mm-hmm. It's, we don't do enough of that. At least we should.
No, and laughter is still the best medicine.
If people don't want to laugh, buy a mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Anyway, Mr. Miller, my jokes might be the best, but I laugh. The National Conservation Law. Mm-hmm. You have a perspective. Tell us.
Well, I fought the environmentalists on the National Conservation Law for 20 years. Mm-hmm. Because every time they came out with it, I thought it was far too extreme. Because I understand that we need to protect the environment. But I believe there are ways to protect the environment that can be mutually beneficial. Mm. And what gets my gall up is the hypocrisy. The last time we had a meeting in Northside about anything to do with, I think that was the East-West Arterial Way, the NRA, right? All of these people who live on pumped up swampland in South Sound and West Bay, along West Bay Road, they're coming up and they're making all these demands of the people in my society, what we can't have and what we can't do, and I don't have any tolerance of that, right? I believe very strongly that people who live in glass houses shouldn't be throwing stones unless they assume that nobody's going to throw in a back. If you come to my community, you're going to get some thrown back at you. Now, but what we have passed into law as a national conservation law, I support. You will recall that when Mr. Dwayne brought the national conservation law down to the LA, I filed, I think it was 32 amendments to the bill. And I think the bill only had 40-something clauses, right? And I managed to convince him and the people supporting the legislation to make 30 of those changes that I wanted. And one of the things that I set out to do in opposition to the National Conservation Law was to protect the landowners, particularly in my constituency and the whole eastern part of the island. Mm. Because all of these come lately environmentalists have all cashed in on their economic and developing their land in West Bay, 7 Mile Beach, South Sound, etc., etc. Now, all of a sudden, we people in Northside and East End and Borden Town who have been conserving this property all these years, all of a sudden now we got to give it up to them for nothing, right? So they can massage their egos when they get to Pearly Gate or something and say they did something good, right? So I fought very hard to make sure that the interest of the landowners was protected. Some of the things that I managed to get into it, for instance, if I have 20 acres of land that needs to be developed and the Department of the Environment identifies an ant's nest, right, that has a special breed of ants that doesn't exist anywhere else in the world, and they want to protect it. We can look at that and what the law requires them to negotiate with me as the landowner a management plan for that specific area, right? And pay me an annual lease for that, right? And then allow me and advise me how best to develop the rest of my land so I can get the economic benefits that I deserve from the land without destroying that ant nest, right? Because I think it has to be balanced, right? This idea that we must not build the East-West arterial way so that we can have an alternative route in case of a hurricane and many other reasons to build it, plus the traffic, because these environmentalists believe that we can fill up a piece of swamp, is ludicrous. Now, when it came Northside to the NRA thing, I waited until everybody had exhausted their questions. And I got up, and of course, the MC at the time immediately told me I could only ask one question. So I sat back down. And of course, the whole audience then wanted to know what I was going to ask about, right? So I said, if I can put one question on mine and lead to the other one, I have a series of questions, all of which are related to each other. So the first question I asked was, is the EIA for this road, what is the purpose? Is it the purpose to determine how best to build a road? Because the decision to build a road and the gazettal of the road is already done. Or is it to stop the road, right, and to determine that the road must be degazetted and not build a road? Oh no, they said it was the former. I said, okay. So they say, well, you put some pictures up there. Can you tell me where along the East-West arterial way you took those pictures, right? Because I knew the pictures wasn't taken there. Because I know where they took the pictures. I go down in that North Sound plenty, right? Oh, no, well, they're not on the East-West arterial. I said, well, you can't come to my constituency and blatantly misinform my people that this is what you're protecting because it's not there, right? So I don't know what changes are being made to the National Conservation Law, but I do not support any large-scale gutting of the law. The two changes out of those 32 that the government would not agree with me was when we passed the bill into law was, one, that the civil servants should not be allowed to vote if they sit on the National Conservation. And you don't need 2-3 from each department, you'll need one, right? And the second thing was that I wanted the word advice from the National Conservation Law to be more narrowly defined so that it was understood that it would advice to the planning department, it was advice to cabinet. Well, the Attorney General and Mr. Dwayne Patton, lectured me properly and told me I wasn't a lawyer and I didn't understand what the things meant and all that kind of stuff. And I'm still of the view of those two things. So I support those two changes to the National Conservation Law. I don't think we need to necessarily, and I wouldn't recommend that we remove the civil service experts from the bill. But we must remove their right to vote, which is now, I believe, prohibited, if I remember, under the Public Authorities Act, right? Yeah. But that wasn't in place at that time, you see. And that we need to, whether we define the word advice in the interpretation clause of the law or in the definition clause of the law, to say that it can only be advice. You can't direct cabinet what to do. right? And one board can't direct the other board what to do. Can you imagine the planning department directing DOE what to do? You know? And while I get along fine with the people in DOE, but we have lots of arguments, and they come up with these strangest things in the world that people gonna do, right? Now, let me give you more. Again, I want to speak of things that I am actually aware of, right? They are now requiring people who build on the beach to put down a temporary plywood wall 2 feet underground and 2 feet above ground to keep turtles from crawling up onto the construction site. Once the construction is over, they can take it down, So you tell me what the point of the law. Are you telling me that turtles can crawl based on the sound of a cement mixer? Right?
This is a policy now.
Yeah. And planning cannot. They have so increased planning that planning will not advance your application unless you get a letter from them saying you built this wall. How long you sit down on Westby Road? Okay, all right. And understand now that this is the specific case that I'm talking about is Iron Shore would be stand behind it, This is not except my beach now where parties stand, And I lived in that area a long time. And I don't ever recall any turtles climbing over that Iron Shore to get to that beach stand. Now they might have climbed up other ways further up the beach or further down the beach, and came a little ways up on it. But anyway, the point is that some of the stuff don't make sense. When I was opposing them before we got the National Conservation Law, they had Mr. Fred Burton go to Rotary and present all of this stuff about the rainfall is being made by what they call wetlands, a swampland. I mean, a swampland, no wetland, swampland. For Cayman, we wouldn't have any rain in Cayman if it wasn't for the wetlands that we have. So, my good friend Harry Chisholm called me and said, listen, you have to go and defend us because all this stuff that they're telling the people down there, they got them convinced that it's right. So, I went to the Weather Bureau, right? And if my memory serves me correct, the lowest rainfall in the Cayman Islands since 1954 was 1958. We had plenty of swampland around there, in 1958. The truth of the matter is that the wetlands cannot produce rain for Cayman. Anytime during the rainy season, we either have 10, 15, 20 knot northeast wind or southeast wind. For water to evaporate to turn into rain, what's it got to 10,000 feet before it come by there? At 10 knots, that cross that from the east side of the North Sound, that crossed that 12 mile back a long time, before it got up there. The volume that he predicted of liquid nutrients coming off of the central wetlands for fish, right? Based on the rainfall, assuming that there was no absorption into the ground, the wetlands would have been bigger in the state of California. But they make these numbers up, and nobody takes the time to question their calculations or ask them what the formulas are that they come up with. Right? Because them days they were trying to take from fire station Frank Sound, everything west of that, into 3 different sensitive zone, more sensitive zone, right? So, and the thing about what the problem I have with the National Conservation Law and the board is that there's no public consultation. There's no public explanation of what the law. We get a little notice come out saying they're having the board and it's going to be on YouTube or it's going to be on this and be on that. We need to come out to the districts. Did you know that that the law requires them, if they find a sensitive area in your land, to develop a management plan and pay you? Mm-hmm. Those kind of things they're not telling people. The only thing they're telling people is what they can't do. And this is why there is so much animosity built up. It's the whole management of the National Conservation Law and how it's being implemented. Give another example. We put in the law in Parliament that any Caymanian over 18 could apply for a spear gun license, get a new spear gun, and get parts of a spear gun. That is the one section of the law that the National Conservation Board and Cabinet refuses to bring in place. Why? Because it's affecting us common little Caymanians.
Yeah.
Right?
All right.
The benefit for us. So it's what they're doing is absolutely wrong. But again, tell us what you're going to do. There should be a public consultation process. When I say public consultation process, I mean a serious public consultation, not just 2 meetings. Don't come north side at 6 o'clock and having a meeting when nobody don't get back north side from work till 8 o'clock at night. Because when you do that, you don't want nobody to come.
Right. We have the news break, and as we come back, we'll talk more about that in the management plan. We'll take some calls. I gather the media and others have talked about gutting. The government has said that's not what they're doing. So even that.
But you see, this is a typical media alarmist attitude.
Okay.
Because they're being funded when it's necessary by the environmentalists or by the people who are not environmentalists but are willing to give the environmentalists a certain amount of broader. And going back to the corruption process, I don't mind you getting corrupted because that sets a precedent, and I can corrupt it more when I need it.
All right. After the break, Mr. Miller, certainly invite you to share more with us. We take some calls. Stay tuned.
Since 1976.
Covering Grand Cayman, no Cayman, Cayman right. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market.
With a look at your latest headlines, I'm Jevi Ebanks. The Cayman Islands Speaker of Parliament, the Honourable Sir Alden McLaughlin, has announced the rescheduling of the 4th meeting of the 2023-2024 session to Monday, the 22nd of July 2024 at 10 a.m. The postponement allows for additional parliamentary business and motions. Upcoming bills include appropriations, legal amendments, and firearm regulations. Proceedings will be broadcast live and open to the public viewing after signing in with security. In regional news, in Guyana, a woman was arrested for injuring her daughter and herself following her partner's decision to end their relationship. The incident occurred after the man derogatorily referred to them and left their home. The woman misled her daughter about her father's death and her stepfather's rejection before wounding her. The daughter escaped and received medical attention, with her condition deemed stable. The mother, found with a self-inflicted wound, was treated, discharged, and is aiding in police investigations. St. Vincent Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves estimates a cost of $300 million to repair and rebuild structures damaged by Hurricane Beryl. Over 95% of buildings in the southern Grenadines were affected by the Category 4 storm. The assessment is ongoing, but initial estimates suggest thousands of households and businesses need reconstruction, including the wealthy Kanwan. Electricity restoration varies, with some areas expecting a return within months, while others may not have power until the year's end. The government has introduced duty-free concessions to aid in recovery efforts. That's your latest headlines. I'm Jevi Ebanks.
www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
Cayman Islands, your input can shape our future. Plan Cayman needs your input on the updated planning statement to create a sustainable community for everyone. Help shape Cayman's future by participating in public consultations with the Central Planning Authority and the Ministries for Planning and Sustainability. Together, we can build a thriving Cayman. For details and to find the meeting closest to you, visit plancayman.ky. Your voice matters. Let's plan Cayman together.
Radio Cayman Talk Today continues.
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us, and thanks to Mr. Ezra Miller, not just for your perspective, but for your time. We do have a call online, sir. 949-80 937 or 949-6990 if you want to be a part of a discussion. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon again, gentlemen.
You're welcome back again, man. Always appreciate you listening and sharing your perspective.
Okay, well, speaking about conservation that they're trying to deal with, hopefully they'll deal with it in the right way. I would like to ask Mr. Miller what he thinks about them building the cruise ship dock. Do you think that's the right thing to do? Do you think it's safe to do so?
No, I don't support a cruise ship dock. I support an improvement of what we have, but I don't support the building of a cruise ship dock. I don't think we know enough about what damages it would do to 7 Mile Beach or anything else. And to the best of my knowledge, the so-called, I don't remember what class they call them, but the big cruise ships, they have a couple of islands out in the Bahamas, and I don't think they have any piers at those islands, and they use tenders there. Now, what we need to do is we need to improve the tender experience, right? And get some good tenders and multi-hull tenders and stuff that don't rock with the waves and all that sorts of stuff. But I think there are many small things we can do. We should have one of the things that I support is a departure launch on the dock similar to the airport. You come in there and you're in a nice air-conditioned room waiting on your launch to get to the boat, and the ship goes through that gate, the other ship goes through the other gate, and we have a captive audience in there to market stay-over tourism to them. So, but I don't support the building of a cruise dock. I don't see how we are going to get back the investment to pay for it. And if you don't build enough for 5 or 6 cruise ships, what are you going to do to the ones that can't get to the dock? Who's going to have priority to the dock? How are you going to set that? The one that arrives first? That might not necessarily be the biggest ship. So I don't support the building of a cruise dock.
Well, Mr. Miller, I don't either. And Captain Paul has warned them also concerning building that dock. I haven't heard from him in a while. I hope he's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But when they had that referendum out, we had a nor'wester that was so bad that it took off some of the containers off the dock. They're not too much.
No, I mean they're not going to be able to use that port in nor'wester, any kind of inclement weather. So they can still have go spots.
Yes, and then during the referendum, we also had the coronavirus, which was another warning because we weren't able to even get one ship in then at that time, but the government was still able to spend $5 million a month in helping our people. And now that we have ships coming in, the government should still be thankful that we have a lot more ships coming in now than we did with coronavirus.
No, one of the things that I think the government needs to do when it comes to the cruise industry is need to make sure that Caymanians who are in business with the cruise industry are not mortgaging their future, in that they are getting the kind of payments for their services that they deserve, and not this business of every year, every 2 years, it goes to the lowest bidder. I'm paying you $8 last year. If I come and offer it from $7 to give it to me for $7, I come back next year, I got to pay $6. I think the government should have more control over what happens in Cayman with the tours and all that sorts of stuff, and to what the benefit of the Caymans in the industry.
Yeah, I think also the leader of the opposition and some people in the private sector, I think they need to stop pressuring Kenneth Bryan and the tourism department with this tourism plan, and pressuring him into starting this cruise ship dock before the next election. And especially Mr. Kenneth Bryan is from Central Georgetown. If he makes that horrible mistake, which I know it will be, Central Georgetown is going to be in serious problem when it comes to the sea surge in that area. And then that's going to put him in a political position where the people in Central Georgetown may vote him out.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you very much.
Okay.
You're most welcome. Only if you wish to respond to that, but just the national conservation legislation, whether it's the East-West Arterial or other things, would that also come to play in a government project like port development, a cruise ship dock, whether it's in town or elsewhere?
Well, you see, they have given themselves, and the law does provide a large scope of authority for them to do things that affect the environment.
Yeah, and I guess this is where, as I listen to you, maybe not enough of us are looking at the legislation, trying to ask and understand the impact. You referenced earlier about a management plan. Some of us probably don't even know how is that triggered.
Because one of the things that has happened with the implementation of the National Conservation Law is that there has been no public education. Again, I come from a different era politically. My mantra, as you know, in politics was participatory democracy. I genuinely believe that the people that I represent had a right to be involved in the decisions that I made for them on their behalf. But none of the policies that the government is bringing in now is under any public consultation. The public consultation that they conduct is, this is what we plan to do. Do you agree? And if you don't agree, you're ignored. If you agree, you're welcomed, right? There's no... The way the government should work is that if an issue is identified, i.e. we're losing cruise ship passengers because we don't have a dock, right?
If that was the...
Yeah. They just give an example.
Right.
Okay? If that is the issue that people have on the public, and that's an issue out there now, is saying that the people are not making enough money and then they need a dock.
Right.
What we need to find out is, what is the issue? What is the problem?
What
right?
is that the key? Yeah.
We got to analyze the situation and say, now, why are the big ships not coming here? Secondly, if we build a dock, what is going to be the increase in the ships that come? What is going to be the increase in the spend that they do locally? Because they don't spend no money, right? So the problem is not necessarily that we don't have a dock. The problem might be is because the local merchants, not over-the-counter stuff, but the people who are doing the tours, the Stingray City, the Turtle Farm, and all these places, right, are getting far less out of the price of a tour than the cruise ship is getting. Now, we have a standard practice in the travel industry, for instance, that I believe is if I sell a ticket for you, I get 25% of the ticket. No cruise ship should be able to come to the island and get more than 25 or 20% of the cost of a ticket that they're selling it for, right, on a tour or going to the Turtle Farm or anywhere else, right? But again, what we need is to analyze the situation, involve the people in the industry. Okay, if last year we got 1 million passengers, but the argument is that if we don't get a dock next year, we're only going to get 750,000, right? What can we do with that 750,000 to make sure that you, as a person in the industry, get the same amount of revenue or more revenue than they got from the million, right? Or how do we adjust that? But there's no real analysis. So the cruise ship want a dock and they're prepared to build it? I doubt it, because from way back when, the cruise industry has been the most one-way extraction of money from the Caribbean than any other industry in the world.
But even if they are willing to build it, wherever they are, whether it's a cruise or this, what level of control, authority, access, and demands that may come with relative to the country. Do we have the final break to take there, my friend? All right. One more break, Mr. Miller. Thank you for your time. All right. Stay tuned. Join us after.
Refer a friend and get $50 to spend when your friend or family member opens a personal account with Cayman National. From July 9th to September 30th, 2024, C&B customers can earn $50 for each referral who opens an individual or joint personal account. Earn up to $500 with a maximum of 10 referrals. Visit CaymanNational.com for more details on this promotion and follow us on social media for updates. Terms and conditions apply.
You know who this is? That same old girl that went to Hollywood and Panama? Well, guess what? The fun ain't done yet, because this year, I'm going to country concerts in Denver. I got kick up my heels in Times Square. I got keep living the dream with Cayman Airways. We so blessed to have them. I tell you what though, this old girl's feeling younger than ever.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering international non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, Kingston, Mobay, La Ceiba, and Havana. Enjoy free rum punch, free in-flight entertainment, free seat selection, and free meals on select flights. Call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Boddentown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Boddentown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
The mission of the National Conservation Council and the Department of Environment has worked to protect and conserve the unique plants, animals, and habitats that make the Cayman Islands so special. Learn more at conservation.ky.
Cayman Islands, your input can shape our future. Plan Cayman needs your input on the updated planning statement to create a sustainable community for everyone. Help shape Cayman's future by participating in public consultations with the Central Planning Authority and the Ministries for Planning and Sustainability. Together, we can build a thriving Cayman. For details and to find the meeting closest to you, visit plancayman.ky. Your voice matters. Let's plan Cayman together.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks to Mr. Ezra Miller for sitting with us. And, the 10 minutes are thereabouts, sir. We cover hopefully a little more ground, but quickly, fourth Friday night at the Georgetown Yacht Club. You say if people want tickets, they can call you. Roasting Ezra, laugh for a cause for your fundraising for your church. All right. Well, I'm hoping that as you shared, it's going to be like everything, not this big stadium like seating, but sufficiently a family get together with good friends enjoying themselves, right?
Yeah, I hope we can have a good turnout. It looks like right now it looks like I'm going to be settling around between 75 and 80 people, so that's that'll help.
A good little grouping. I'm told we got one other call online, sir, as we're speaking to Mr. Ezra Miller. Hey, welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. Good afternoon, Mr. Ezra.
Good afternoon.
And to you, how are you today?
Fine, thanks to you, sir.
Oh, man. I'm sitting with Mr. Ezra. I'm getting not just a laughter, I'm getting a learning, a good education.
Oh, exactly. That's a man of knowledge. That's a man that speaks what his mind tells him, which is always most time is right. So, man speaking from experience.
Thank you. I feel so.
Yeah, tell Mr. Ezra he is 100% right about the port. What the government needs to do to better for the Caymanians, to put some moratorium on that all of these companies that are coming in taking over, and the tourism industrial taxes and water sports operators, they need to put some moratorium that this needs to be generation care, because this will form these organizations. But we can't get but all you can hear that everybody's a Caymanian now, and we can't put them because you got status holders. There's no Caymanians now; they're all coming into it.
I have no idea what they're coming into.
No. Well, they run up on reach there a couple of days.
Yeah.
They don't know what they come in. They pick them up.
Because even the port will not put in proper regulations for the safety of the people and qualifications of the people to run these boats. You know.
Exactly. Because you can all you got to do is come off a plane, and tomorrow morning you can have a job. And you probably don't even know what North Sound is, but you're sitting in a boat. That's why they're hitting the reefs every time now. But until government or DEO puts a law in place that you hit the reef, there's a fine. Cause
the fine is there, but do they enforce it? You know, the fine is up to $500,000. But I told them when they were putting on the law, I said this don't make no sense because anytime these companies see $500,000, they're gonna lawyer up. It needs to be a graduated fine. You know, if you break one punch hole, that should be $500. You know.
Jamaica was a great example. The boat that ran up on top of Jamaica Reef is mashed up their reef. Jamaica seized the boat and turned around and find them.
Yeah.
So that's a great example. And that boat Jamaica kept and still turned around and find them for damaging their reef. So they need to use some of these people. They get an experience from everywhere. They need to use some of their expertise and see what to do. And we also need to go, if the government wants something to do, what they need to do, and the tourism minister needs to go to these cruise lines and put something in place that they cannot go under a lower price than what they're doing. Because when the boat owners are walking away, or the companies are walking away, giving boat owners $10 for the people, you got to carry everybody like cows, a boat load, to make anything out of it. And at the end of the day, you don't make anything, because by the time you got to pay all the expense, it's not getting no cheaper.
No, the government should. I've said long ago that the government should be establishing the rates for these things in consultation with you people in the industry.
No.
It should be. For instance, it should be $50-$60 to get on a boat to go to Stingray City now.
Exactly.
And out of that, the only cruise ship should only be entitled to $5. And that's for selling it on the cruise. If they don't sell it on the cruise, then they sell it on the dock.
They get.
If the cruise industry don't want to consider those kind of rates, then tell them that they can't sell none.
I said they're selling it for $159 and up. And they're giving the operator $60.
Yeah.
They got to do the water sport, the taxes.
Those are the kind of things that we need to control in the cruise industry to the benefit of our people, and stop talking about all we need is numbers. Because 20 times not still not, you know, right?
Yeah, but that is our problem. But we haven't had nobody yet with the guts go in and say we are control it. And what they need to do is, like I told Dwayne a few weeks ago, if the government wants something to do this slow season, can you imagine? For the month of July, we got 2 ships today. We had one on Monday and one today, and we don't have no ships the rest of the week. Then we got next week. I think we got 3 days. I think 3 ships might be 4. But I know it's 3 days a ship. We're not going to move. When our port don't change in the summer, no different than it is in the winter. Yes, I understand that people go around, but seeing how they can entice the ships to come here. I know before the COVID we was getting more ships in the summer, and we got less now. But I know a lot of it is because they want to force the port. They force the port down on us, and we don't have nobody with no backbone.
Yeah, they're just manipulating. They're just manipulating the numbers so that they can put pressure on you to build the cruise. It's just like every time the government comes up with some of these, you notice the spend per tourist goes up depending on what they want to do. I sit down on the dock, you know, right, and watch them going back aboard the ships. I don't see them with no.
They don't spend no money.
No platters or basket full of goods that they can't board the ship.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
Most of them might have one little plastic bag with one T-shirt in it. And I sit down and hear them discussing it. No, we're not buying no T-shirts in Cayman because T-shirts are cheap in Cozumel.
Yeah, but we allow them to use our port. I always, and they always think now about the big ships can't come here. Oasis which is one of the biggest ships now, can pull in here in emergency and anchor on the same tie up to take off people for emergency, but she can't take off people to come into our port.
Like I said, my understanding is that they have private islands in the Bahamas and they don't have no docks there.
Well, maybe Mr. Kenneth Bryan, if he listens, should go over there and see if their island that is owned by the Americans or by the cruise line, see if they got an affair on theirs.
Yep.
That'll let us know.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks for calling there. God bless.
Have a good afternoon. I believe we have one final quick call, Mr. Miller,
Mm-hmm.
as we go to the WhatsApp. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling. Hey, hello. On the WhatsApp call. Hey, welcome.
Mr. Sterling?
Hey, how are you, man? How are you?
Yeah, afternoon, sir. I'm good.
All right. Thanks for sharing with us, man.
Mr. Miller as well. Afternoon, Mr. Miller.
Good afternoon, sir.
And what I would like to say too, also, I'm not in support of the cruise port. Reason being is because they're doing some shady work around this island, damaging our coastal line. And the reason I am saying this is because it's a whole lot cheaper to pay a fine than to ask for permission to do something. Like for example, with the shipping industry, right? Not the cruise shipping, the shipping industry. It is a whole lot cheaper to run and kill a whale than to divert and spend the amount of gas to go around it, or the diesel to go around it. So I would assume the same way how they would be pressuring and damaging our reef and saying that we should consider building cruise ports and whatnot, or a berth. This is one of their tactics. They damage our reefs and say we can fix it, offer something and say, hey, we could recommend this to you. You can take it or not. And then sometimes we don't even take it and we just allow it to happen.
Yep.
That's how I have observed a lot of things that's going on here in Kingston.
All right.
Okay, sir. Thanks for calling.
Thanks very much.
Yep.
Well,
All right.
Mr. Miller, thank you for your time. And then again, just quickly.
Thank you for having me. And hope to see you on Friday night.
Just 7 p.m.
And I
at
hope
the
by
Georgetown.
the time you're ready to leave, when you get there, you can't stop laughing.
Yeah. So anybody wants a ticket now, they can reach out to you.
Yeah, 327-5757.
327-5757.
Right.
Come laugh for our cause.
Yep, come and laugh for a cause.
All right. Well, I certainly appreciate you sharing with us. And, it's going to be not just a fun evening of fellowship and good food, but you're raising funds, for your north side. What you say, good Presbyterians.
Oh, yeah, I'm a good Presbyterian.
Always a pleasure, Mr. Miller. Like the caller, we commend you for sharing your...
Thank you very much.
All right, to our listeners, what's Thursday tomorrow? Come back for Talk Today, and we want to be a part of it. Got an interesting discussion. We could talk to you about the Tourism Attractions Board. Got another conversation at 1 p.m. So until then, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways, call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-606